Hey everyone, I'm Natalie Bencivenga, host of 5 Minutes With. And this week I'm super excited for my very special guest, Emmai Alaquiva. He is a film director, photographer, and he serves on the PA Council for Arts under Governor Tom Wolf. And you might notice things look a little different this week. I'm really excited and honored to have Amy Crawford, who is an American Sign Language interpreter, and she's going to be joining us for this week's conversation. How are you, Emmai?
I am doing so well. So good to be on your incredible show with your super fresh hair. You know what I mean? Let's just get it out in the open. Your hair is popping. I'm loving how it is. You know?
Well, I'm always just trying to keep up with you, Emmai. That's really what it comes down to. But we have more important things to talk about
Absolutely.
than my awesome hair. And
But
that would be around this new project that you've been working on that we were able to just see. Could you talk a little bit about its inspiration?
yes, absolutely. Unspeakable is a 60-second PSA that really surrounds the much needed conversation around those that are deaf and with disabilities. And it was inspired by my 8-year-old. I love her to pieces, Michaela. Um, I wanted to do something a couple of years ago to something where I would sort of like not have the superiority versus the inferiority
Mm-hmm.
complex. I wanted to do something where me and my daughter had an even playing field. So we started taking ASL classes to learn sign language. I didn't know more than her. She didn't know more than me. We were right there. And it was completely transformative. And it was incredible for our father-daughter relationship. And, fast forwarding to, what I've been doing surrounding the protests and the Black Lives Matter movement and
Mm-hmm.
just the current racial climate in this country, I figure as an artist, I need to do something. But when I was taking photography and doing videos, I would bring them back home and my daughter would be over my shoulder and looking at this work. And, something struck her to say, hey, Dad, there's no one in the crowd doing sign language.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going on? Is there any in your pictures? Is there any in your video? And I just said, actually, no, sweetheart, no. And she said, well, Dad, we do sign language, maybe you could do something for that community. And I said, wow. So I could not sleep that night. And I got up at 2 a.m. and I wrote the unspeakable script.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately picked up the phone. I started emailing individuals from the deaf community because this is a project that I did not want to do unless I had the support and the handhold all the way from conception to completion. So with individuals like Danielle Phillip, Amy, Greg, and so many others from the deaf community, I felt that I had the right team to go out and shoot for 4 days,
Mm-hmm.
have over 20 participants from all over the deaf community at various Black Lives Matter protests. And they were just doing the signs, power, Black Lives Matter. And it turned into a prolific piece of arts that we had to distribute to the rest of the world so they can know, even though they may be deaf, they hear what's going on loud and clear. And that's the purpose and inspiration.
Yeah, I was completely inspired and blown away by the community response and what you were able to capture on film. And you could just feel so much passion from the people that participated. What have you learned from the deaf community after this experience?
What I learned from the deaf community, Natalie, is that things register different when you hear it in another language.
Hmm.
I love English language, don't get me wrong, but the deaf community, it's not necessarily verbatim off of English. It's its own style, it's its own dialect. The artistic, the beautification, the movements, the grace of this language is absolutely beautiful. And to hear how someone would say breathe, breathe, versus someone saying breathe. You know what I mean? Or, you know, when you watch the video, if you pay attention to how passionate the movements are, it's almost like a dance. The language is a dance, Natalie. You understand what I'm saying? So whatever we say in English takes on a totally different meaning in ASL, and particularly BASL. So that's what I learned.
And can you explain what BASL means?
So Black American Sign Language. It's, you know, there's ASL and it's BASL, very, very similar, but there are some very key nuances that caters and that platforms BASL. And there's a different palpable energy that parallels BASL. So yes, all lives matter. We get that. All deaf lives matter. We get it. But being Black in America is one thing. Being Black in deaf or Black with a disability is a whole nother ball game. And, you know, 1/3 to 1/2 of individuals who are, you know, shot by police, who are killed by police officers, have a disability.
Right.
And you know, it's not necessarily, you know, we got to restructure what funding looks like for police. Because if we could pay for a whole precinct to have training to learn ASL, we can change the face of this country, Natalie. If there's a deaf person that is sitting on the corner and a police officer says, freeze, stay right there, don't move, what if that individual can't hear, Natalie? And what if the only proof that he is deaf is his license in his pocket? Can you imagine that young man or young lady going into their pocket or driving on the highway and not necessarily hearing all the sirens and everything else? Next thing you know, they look into their rearview mirror and there's 20 police cars behind them. We have to change the landscape of our country one voice at a time. And I am proud to say that I am an advocate for the deaf community and those with disability.
Well, I appreciate you so much, May. And of course, Amy, I appreciate you as well. And before we wrap up, I would be honored if you guys could teach me how to sign Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely. No problem at all. All right. So Black Lives Matter, and what I was talking about, the nuances between ASL and BASL, is just like it might be a difference of fingers or a difference of movement, right? There could be one dance, they do it different in LA, and then the dance when you get to New York is totally different. Same concept. So I am of African descent, so I would use my 4 fingers to go across my forehead. So this is Black. However, individuals who are non-African American use 1 finger. So they'll just do 1 finger across. So in this case, you being super fresh Italian, take 1 finger and do across your head. Yep. This means Black.
Okay.
Black. Okay. All right. I want you to take 2 thumbs up as if you're telling somebody they're doing a good job. And then I want you to take it down to the bottom and then press it up to your chest. Exactly. Press it up into your chest. So this is lives. Lives.
Okay.
All right. So Black lives. All right. And then when matter is when you pull down, you say matter. This is also another word for cherish. When you cherish something, you
really feel the passion of just doing the work.
Exactly. You matter. And Natalie, you matter to me. So, all right, let's do all 3.
All right.
Ready? Black lives matter.
I love it. And I love you, May. And I love you, Amy.
You too, Natty B.
And thanks for being a part of 5 Minutes With. And I look forward to seeing what other wonderful things you're doing to support all of our communities. Thank you again, both of you.
Thank you all. All right, take care.